Welcome to day 26. Today we're talking about persuasion. I think persuasion is a super sexy topic, so I've been excited about today. I'm going to show you how to be an agent of influence, how to use the 7 laws of persuasion, those are the first 7 laws of persuasion, and how to motivate people to take action, whatever that is in your business, your social life, or your romantic life. But first, we have a warm-up just to get our juices flowing. So I want to know, how do you need more persuasion in your life? And I actually want everyone to just briefly answer this in one area in your life. It doesn't have to be with business. What do you need to persuade people to do? This could be with products or sales, but it also could be with opinions. It could be with actions. It doesn't have to be selling something. It could be selling an idea or a behavior. So, Jason, can I start with you, and then we'll work our way down? Yes.
I could use a little more persuasion in my relationship.
All right. Okay. Maggie.
I could use more persuasion and convincing people that they do need me, what I offer.
Absolutely. Lace.
I'm similar, but in focusing on the right people.
Aha. Your perfect client, your ideal client. Yes.
For me, it's sales, definitely.
Sales with your ideal client.
Yeah.
And what are they buying?
My products, my trainings.
Perfect. Yeah, Kim.
That learning to be more relaxed and present will up-level their life in a really big way.
So ideal client and teaching them that attitude.
Yeah.
Persuade my ideal client that they really can do it.
Because
they're on board that they want to do it, but that they can.
Okay, got it.
I need to persuade more people to sign up for my classes.
Getting them to take action, yes. Lee.
For me, it's sales.
Sales with
My products.
products, Tiny Toast, yes.
Persuasion in offering the value that we are giving them.
Okay, convincing them that they are getting value with you and
Yes.
your services.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for me, one that's interesting right now is persuading them to think long-term and the value in that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just persuading my clients that living in fear is how damaging it is to live in fear.
Okay.
I really just need to persuade people to listen to my ideas.
Paying attention. Yeah.
I need to persuade people that even if I'm not quite what they were expecting, I can still add value.
I like that one. Okay, cool.
I persuade almost all the time, so I kind of think about persuading with feeling, especially when it comes to my daughter, and it's almost impossible for me to logically persuade her.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Okay, and I'm going to give you more feeling we're definitely going to talk about. In fact, I think that might be tomorrow. It might be law number 8, but I'm going to give you more than just that. Persuading with feeling has hopefully a couple other things as well.
I need to persuade myself to follow up with all the challenges in this class. Seriously.
All
So
right. Self-persuasion. I love it. Yes. So the reason why we talk about this is because this applies to all areas of your life. And your answers were exactly what I wanted to hear, which are it's business strategy, it's marketing, shopping, buying a car, a house, negotiating with your friend, daughter, parent, sibling. It's all areas. I want to start this section with a very special note. Please use these powers for good and not evil. Right? Persuasion is a funny science. It's used in some negative ways, so I only want us to be persuading to do good things, positive things. We are already well on our way. Number 8, be relentlessly curious. Let me explain how this helps us be better persuaders. Great persuaders ask 2.7 more questions of their audience than average persuaders do. By the way, I thought I was curious about this. In the average pitch, there are usually 6 questions. High persuaders ask 16. Okay, 16 different questions in the average pitch. Number 9, being a master listener. Poor listening skills account for 60% of all misunderstandings. And persuasion is all about being really clear about what it is they're getting, what it is you want. Researcher Murray Raphael says that he believes that correct listening is the best way to increase your sales and persuasion, that listening is the only thing in sales and persuasion that works. This is our skill number 29, using the laws of persuasion, all 12 of them, that to be a highly successful people person, you have to know how to tap into motivation. Understand how to authentically and positively influence those around you. Go crazy today, guys. This is a big day because I just want to get your creative juices just going, right? I'm going to give you tons of ideas. Not all of them are going to work for you. You're going to be like, that won't work for me, but I want you to write it down because it might work for you later. I also want you to help each other. Even though it might not work for you, it might work for someone at home. So anything that comes to your head, I want you to say it, right? We're going to help get each other to get new ideas. There's no such thing as a silly idea. The first law of persuasion is the reciprocity norm. So the reciprocity norm is the subconscious expectation that people will return benefits for benefits or favors for favors. So when you give something, our brains cannot help but want to give something back. It's a subconscious expectation. When you're kind to me, I want to be kind to you. The offer mentality is one of the best ways to start to trigger the reciprocity norm. That is why I teach it in Be a Highlight. Of course, it starts on a high, but offering someone something, going into a situation where you want to offer, where you want to give, it starts to trigger the reciprocity norm. People cannot help but return the favor. I want to show a couple of my favorite reciprocity norm studies. In one study, he sent Christmas cards to complete strangers. Most, over 80%, sent a card back and kept him on their list for years. Now, part of this is fear that they don't know the person, but also it's just the reciprocity norm. We're just so trained that if we get something, we better give it back. Free samples is the reason why those work is because you are engaging the reciprocity norm. When we feel like we get a free sample, we have to try the product, but really we're like, well, I should now go in there for a little bit and shop around. Or, wow, I got a free ebook, or I got a free offer. I feel like I should sign up, or I feel like I should go back and visit the website. In one study, they had participants come into a waiting room, and there was another participant who was actually a researcher in disguise. And the participant would sit there, and there was a free basket of sodas on the table, okay, a big basket of sodas. And the participant would look over to the other one and say, hey, do you want me to grab you a soda? And then get up, walk over, and grab a soda and give it to him, okay? The sodas were already free. It was just the act of going over, picking it up, and handing it to him. A very, very subtle reciprocity norm. And they found that when that person then asked them, hey, do you want to buy raffle tickets for $1? They bought way more raffle tickets from the person who just gone and grabbed the free soda off the table. And they made this subtle, even they have different variations of this experiment where they made it more and more and more subtle. Like actually when they went to go buy them a soda versus right in front of them versus right next to them, every single time it triggered the reciprocity norm. Yeah?
On websites, when you sign up for a newsletter or ebook, would you say that the reciprocity is signing up and then getting the ebook, or is that just an exchange?
The reciprocity is when you sign up, I'll give you the free ebook.
Right.
So the giving the email is a necessary part of the evil. But actually, the reciprocity norm effect takes place after. So you get the free ebook, and then you're like, maybe I should buy their course. Maybe I should go look at their book. So actually, it takes place after that. So that's okay. Setting up the reciprocity norm, exactly the perfect example for that. So reciprocity norm ideas. So one company in California called See's Candy, they're a chocolate company. They were like a nothing little tiny company when they first started in California. And the way that they got their product to be one of the best-selling chocolates in the United States is by offering free samples. Back in the day when they first started, this was like kind of unheard of. They now have people, if you ever have been to a See's Candy store in a mall, they almost always have someone with a tray outside offering a free sample. And what they found was that people would take one of those chocolates and they'd be like, well, now I should go buy a chocolate. I took a free chocolate, I should go buy a chocolate. And so it's this weird reciprocity norm. I got some See's candies because I feel like it's really good to taste the experiment, right? To be able to remember it. To be able to make sure that you really know the taste of what those See's chocolates are.
So we should buy your next course?
You should buy your next course. Exactly, or buy another See's candy box. Other reciprocity norm ideas. Welcome and goodbye gifts. So giving gifts, especially if that's your love language, welcoming them with things. So I offer a free ebook when people first come to my website. That is because I want to trigger the reciprocity norm. Candy at restaurants when you leave. Have you noticed that when you get the bill and you get little candy on the thing? That is because your waiter or waitress is trying to trigger the reciprocity norm. Look, I gave you some free candy. And then you're like, well, they gave me free candy. I should give more of a tip. It actually triggers that right before they sign the bill. What are some other reciprocity norm ideas that you can think of that you've seen, but more importantly, how can you use the reciprocity norm in your business? What can you do? Or in your relationships, for that matter. I can think of some already. Yeah.
I was just thinking, based on what Michael said, I mean, just having a blog where you're giving information, you know, I mean, you don't have to sign up for anything. You just check it out. And
yeah, absolutely giving advice. I actually think, Fatima, you can also use the reciprocity norm very subtly in relationships. When you offer transparency, or you offer honesty, or you open up, that actually triggers the reciprocity norm. Have you ever been sitting with someone and you're like, I'm having a really stressful day, and you offer sort of an honesty, and then they come back and they're like, yeah, you know, I had the same thing happen. That is actually the reciprocity norm in action. You're creating a safe space, but you're showing, I want to tell you something that is kind of vulnerable for me or high stress, and then they want to tell it back to you. So when you're talking to your daughter, you can think about what you want from her. Maybe you can give it first. Does that resonate with you at all?
It's absolutely not my nature,
Yes.
but I'm definitely going to try it and
I want
see
you to
what
try
happens.
it. Yeah. The exact thing you want, share it first. What are some other reciprocity norm ideas? Yeah.
I think for me, like a level up of the candy at restaurants is when they come out with like the amuse-bouche or the appetizer.
Yes.
That feels like I've hit the lottery almost.
So I was gonna put amuse-bouche is a perfect example. So amuse-bouche, if you've ever been to a really fancy restaurant, is when you first get there, the chef offers his compliments and he brings out a little taster of something. It's usually like a little spoon or a little cup. That is all right away doing the reciprocity norm for people who come to the restaurant. Before you even get here, before you even spend any money, I want to give you a beautiful dish of little soup or a little croquette for free. That makes people spend more because they're like, well, I already got a gift when I got here. I got to, show them back. And also, they get to taste the food and see how awesome it is. Perfect example. Other ideas for the reciprocity norm? How about how you can use it? Yeah.
Not necessarily how I can use it, but free training at a gym or something like that, like a free experience, a free consultation.
Absolutely, that's the perfect way to do it.
And then you train them up, right? So now they're at the education level, which is right at what you want, and they go, oh, well, it would just make sense to work with her, work with him.
I actually think Maggie and Barbara, as photographers, you guys have some definite opportunities for the reciprocity norm in your business. Is it triggering anything for you?
Yeah, it's triggering something that I've always meant to do and I just haven't implemented it, and I will from now on with my wedding clients, is when they're kind of borderline and haven't decided to book me, I do need to just say, like, I'll do your engagement shoot for free. You can decide after that. I'm sure that would hook a lot of people.
And I even think you can even do like a smaller ask, like a smaller give. It doesn't have to be free. I know that we get, when creatives give away for free, it cannot feel great for you. It might even be like a smaller ask. So it could be, if you want, send me your photo list and I'll go over it for you. Or here's a photo shot list I made for you. Totally. Right? You told me that your wedding you want it to be these 3 words. Here's a list I have that I want to take a picture of you. That's a gift. Yeah.
Just an idea for you here, because I know photographers, they know people in all of the different aspects of weddings. So you can say, here's my list of the very best caterers and all these other things. So even if you don't choose me, here's a bunch of other folks you can check out. So,
whoa.
That's awesome.
That is a good one. I know you don't eat chocolate, but here's more. Yes.
Just to add on to that a little bit, my wedding photographer did the same thing. And after she actually pulled all of her brides for them to give input for that list. So it was nice because the list said, this is also from other brides who had great experiences with these vendors.
Which is social proof, which we're going to learn later, which is brilliant. I love it. Any other ideas about how to use,
Well, this is just like a spa example where if you get your hair done and they give you a massage when you're getting it washed or that kind of thing.
Perfect. I like other spa ideas. If you get your nails done now, more and more they're offering like a glass of wine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it's free of charge. We just want you to have a lovely time. I mean, first of all, it does make it a lovely time, but you're like, wow, so giving, right? Wonderful. I saw another hand up. Yeah.
So this is actually something a friend did. He went to buy a bike, and when he went there, he took a bottle of Coke, and he said, as soon as he met the guy, he's like, oh, by the way, I got a bottle of Coke for you. And because of that, he got a discount on the bike for like $300 or $400.
Perfect example. Perfect example. The reciprocity norm, the funny thing about it is it does not have to be equal. Right? It could be like a very small free thing, but it just triggers that in the brain that we want to collaborate. Right? We want to work together. Yeah.
I think this fits in the category, but every time I work out, I get points, and then when I accumulate a certain amount of points, I get a free class.
I think that's definitely the reciprocity norm because you are earning points. Now, they don't mean anything, but you're being gifted something. Same thing as when people even gift you like a card or something, or gift you a coupon to spend more. Like that's actually the reciprocity norm because they're gifting you % off, even though it means you spending more later. The other one that I wanted to briefly mention is Ramit Sethi talks about the briefcase technique in a lot of his work. And what the briefcase technique is that when you're going to an important meeting or you're pitching a client, you bring in your briefcase or your purse or a little folder portfolio, a piece of paper that you prepared ahead of time with like the outline of how you want to work together. Some kind of piece of paper with goals or outline or skills, and that during the meeting at some point you say, oh, I brought something for you. And you reach into your briefcase kind of dramatically and you pull it out and you say, I brought this for you. That technique works fantastically. And the reason is, I don't know if Ramit knows that the scientific principle there is the reciprocity norm, is that you're just showing I've pre-prepared something for the meeting and I'm giving it to you. It doesn't matter that it's a piece of paper. It doesn't matter that it's your ideas that you emailed ahead of any time. Anyway, it's that you gave your time ahead of time. You said, I'm going to pre-think about this meeting, and I'm going to bring it for you, and I'm going to give it to you. That also is a subtle reciprocity norm technique. Even just your ideas, your brain power, is a way to give the reciprocity norm. Let's go to the next one. Principle number 2 is the scarcity principle. The scarcity principle says that perceived scarcity generates demand. When people think there's not going to be enough, they want it even more. Only one left in stock, right? Whenever you see that, Amazon is pretty brilliant. They use a lot of these principles quite subtly. But whenever you're shopping on Amazon and it has that little red line underneath that says, only one left in stock or only 2 left in stock, it creates, I don't know about you, but when I see that, I'm like, well, there's only one left. I better order it soon. Even if I don't really want it, I'm like, there's only one left. I could miss it. Now, I don't even know if that's true. I don't know if there is really only one left in stock. But when there is a perceived scarcity, we think that we want to snap it up. So Amazon does this. Also, like the first 5 callers are going to get every infomercial ever, right? The reason they do that is because it's creating scarcity, right? They're saying you better be the first 5. Now, it could be that everyone gets that free gift, but you have to call really quickly, even if you don't know if you're going to buy it yet, because you want to be the first 5. So you call in anyway. Every infomercial ever. Before we talk about how to use a scarcity principle, I want to combine it with the third law, because I think that they kind of go together. The third persuasion law is the paradox of choice. The paradox of choice says that the more choices we have, the less likely we are to be content with our decision. This is very, very counterintuitive. We usually want as much choice as possible. We want lots and lots of choices. But actually, that freezes our brain up. One study was done by Mark Lepper and Sheena Inger, and they went to a gourmet supermarket and they set up 2 different tables. One day they went and they had 6 jars of jam out on a table, and they had people try the jam and they could buy it. The next day they had 24 jams on the table where people could try them and buy them. 30% bought the 6 jars, 3% bought when there was 24 jam jars out. That's an astounding difference. And we think people want they want the orange, the red, the raspberry, the strawberry. No, actually, less choice makes people buy more. You're actually giving them a gift by offering less choice. I want to talk about, are you offering too much or too little choice right now in your business? Do you have too many packages? Do you have too many options? Do you have too many things on your website? Do you have too many tabs? So those of you who have websites and businesses, do you think you offer too much choice, the right amount of choice? I would actually love to talk to you about choice for a second, because with products, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, so I think I'm on the too little choices side, because retail is a little bit different. I feel like people want more. So I'm having the too little choices problem.
Got it. You know, one way that Amazon and a lot of Nordstrom, all the big shoppers, that they deal with this choice paralysis thing is with categories. So instead of having all of their products dumped onto one page, is all those bars along the side that lets you directly say what you want. What they're doing is they're helping you narrow down your choices instead of seeing a massive overwhelm page. And so once you get into more products, you can also think about, splitting them up into different categories, whether that's occasions or colors, that helps limit choices when you have broad breadth of products. Anyone else have offerings where they think they have too many choices on their website? Specifically, too many tabs, too many buttons to click on. Who has a website, actually? Here. Oh my gosh, everyone. So I love it. So how many choices do you think you have on your website, Maggie?
I'm working on it right now. So it's actually, this is an incredible question because I'm having someone design one right now, and he sent me a mock-up last night, and there's way too much going on. And I got overwhelmed by my own. I was like, I don't even know what this is, or why does this box look like that one? And yeah, it's interesting to go from, I'm a minimalist more, and I have 5 on my site now, and it went from 5 to like 50.
Too many choices. So what I want you to do is I want you to look on your website, if you have a website, and I want you to count how many choices you have. Everything from the amount of tabs that you have to click on to the amount of links in the sidebar, I want you to count the number of choices on a page that someone has to do. Because it's not just picking jam jars or that I have 10 products. It's also about action. You know, if there's too many actions on one page, then people are overwhelmed and they make no choice. Now, I don't want to give a rule for how many choices you should or shouldn't have because it's so specific to your business. But I do want you to count and see how many there are. And if there are even more than 5, I want you to start watching other people use your website. So have them sit down, stand behind them and say, what would you do when you got to this page? And see how long it takes them to make a next choice. You'll notice that if you have 2 buttons to click on, they'll probably make a choice within 1 or 2 seconds. But every time you add a choice, it takes them longer. And so I want you to think about what clicks are really essential for those. That's limiting your choices. Some more choice and scarcity ideas. And I put an asterisk on scarcity because I do want us to use it authentically. Like, I don't love creating a false sense of scarcity for people. I don't think that's good. So I really want to use it authentically. And here are some ideas. Higher quality, less quantity. So one very easy way that you can keep really good, less choices is the Etsy model, which is you can only make so many handmade crafts per shop. And so they've chosen to do higher quality and less quantity. Limited spots, so at events, concerts, there's only a certain amount of tickets, and that uses the scarcity principle, also the paradox of choice. Time limits. So time limits is another way that you can use the scarcity principle. By saying, I have an application deadline for this program. By saying, oh, this deal, the car dealers love doing this. Realtors have this built into their business. We only have 3 days to make a decision. Right? You only have a certain amount of time to do it. And application period, as I was just mentioning. So we have like a training program, and I offer an application deadline at the end of it because that's not a fake scarcity. That's actually, I need to know how many people are going to come to know how big of a room I need to book. So that's an authentic way to create scarcity. What are some other ways that you've seen people create scarcity, or you think that you could create scarcity or limit your choices? Yes.
Anything special edition, limited edition?
I love it. Yes, collectibles, collector's items. Beanie Baby did that really well, yeah.
A lot of times with events, they have different pricing for when you sign up. So if you sign up early, it's a lesser price, and if you wait, then it goes up.
Perfect example. Yeah.
When I'm talking with HR or recruiters, I usually let them know that my schedule is limited, and I try to say, oh yeah, I'm pretty open, but I'm be talking to some other people, so I may not be available. If you could let me know sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and giving time brackets, right? Like Thursday afternoon I have for you, or can you do these 3 times, as opposed to my schedule is completely open, you pick a time and day, right? Giving 3 specific times. I saw some other hands up on scarce ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking on that, I know like the wedding season here is April to September or whatever it is. You only have so many weekends during that time, so kind of pre-booking like, hey, I'm booked for all of April, but I've got May and you got to book me now.
I love it. So showing right up front that you would love to work with them, and just so you know, there's 17 weekends that I could work in the summer. So there's not, putting that right up front. It doesn't have to be like a threat or anything. You're just saying there are only 17 weekends. It's putting it into perspective. Same with, I know, Lacey, you work with clients much more intensely. You only have the capacity to work with certain people. That creates scarcity. You want to talk a little bit about that? Do you say that to clients?
Yeah, mine's more like results based, so I don't do hourly, like I do retainer. but it's only one me. And I hire out for what I need so that I have my team built in. But yeah, I can only do so much, and I do higher level, so it costs more, but it gets done. And it's all implementation, so it's not, it's a different feel.
So I think that right when you're sitting down with someone, especially because you were talking about at the beginning of the course that you have a client that you really want to snag, saying, I only work with 2 people at once. Or I only have an opening for November, 1 opening. Or actually limiting that down so they have expectation. A lot of them also don't even realize that. So building that into your pitch, that you want to focus all your attention, that's also showing a great amount of expertise. I'm going to give you all my attention. I only work with 2 people at once, or I only work with 1 person. Building that into your pitch so they know that. Yeah.
And so, like, if you can say that to the person, would you also put that on your website?
I would.
Okay.
I like being transparent, though, so that is totally your call. I think every coach or any service-based business should always in your pitch say, I only work with this amount of clients. I only have this many hours a week per client because I really want to focus fully on them, and those are the hours that I know that I'll have enough energy for them. That's very transparent. It shows that you take great care of how you spend your time and who you work with, and it creates a real authentic scarcity. Yeah. Number 4, the yes ladder. So the yes ladder is a small yes can lead to a big yes. Let me give you an example. So Jonathan Freeman did a study. This study makes me laugh. I don't know why. I just think it's so cool. So what he did was he had people call housewives, call housewives all across the United States. And he said, they asked, hey, we're a bunch of researchers researching cleaning products. Could we come into your house and look in all your cabinets and write down everything that's in your cabinets? Which is kind of a big ask, right? Like, it's quite personal, as strangers coming into your home and looking at things. 25% of people said yes, which kind of surprised me. 25% of people said yes. Yeah, sure, come in my home, look at all my cabinets, and write down all the cleaning products that are in there. I was like, 25% of people, that's a lot. Then they said on the phone call, hey, we'd like to know what's in your cabinet. Would you mind walking around your house and opening up your cabinets and telling us what's in your cabinet? They would do it. And they would say, now, can we come in your house and look for ourselves? This time, 50% said yes. Double. So it's the same final ask. It's just getting a small yes first. They did this, another study that was very similar. They repeated this over and over again where they asked someone to put a tiny sign in their front yard that said, drive more slowly. And then a few weeks later, they said, can we put a little bit bigger sign that says drive more slowly? And then can we put like a giant, it was like a huge, I think they said like 50-foot sign in your front yard. And people who they asked right away for the giant 50-foot sign, it was like 3% said yes. But after they had done like the tiny little signs, a ton of people said yes to the big one because they had already been on the yes ladder. Their brain was already in the yes mentality. So how do we use this in our business? This comes down to permission marketing. Permission relationships, asking for permission before you do things. When you ask for permission, you actually get people onto the yes ladder. So one of the reasons why in this course, I've asked a couple times, can you be vulnerable with me today? Right, and in your head you're like, yes, I can be vulnerable with you. I'm getting you on the yes ladder with me so that for the big ask, when I'm like, now could you tell me your greatest vulnerability? Right? You're like already like one little tiny baby step up on the yes ladder. So this is all about asking for permission. It's the same in personal relationships with a spouse, Jason, you were talking about, Pratima, you were talking about with your child, saying, hey, can I talk to you about something? Even that is getting someone on the yes ladder. Hey, can we be transparent about something right now just for a minute? Right? Or hey, I know this is a difficult topic, but will you just dive into it with me? That is getting someone on the yes ladder before you even start the interaction. How to do this? Oh, this is also great for negotiations. In negotiations, where you have 2 totally different sides, I start all of my negotiations on the yes ladder, always. You start with where you agree. So you come in, before you get into any of the details, the nitty-gritty, start with, okay, so I think that we agree about timeline. Is that right? Let me just confirm. Yes, we're totally on the same page about timeline. And I think that we agree on the type of training that you want. You want human line detection, body language. Is that right? Yes. Right, so starting with all the things you agree with gets them on the yes ladder. It gets them that you know that you have a lot you already agree on. So this is just a little bit extra. So it works fantastic in negotiations. Tell me, yeah.
If you were negotiating like for a car price, how would you use the yes ladder for that?
Very easily, and they do this to you all the time.
I'm expecting that they do.
Right? They're like, so you love this color,
Yes.
right? You love this color, and you like the leather, right? Like they won't even talk to you about price often until they figured out all those little yeses, because you've already got buy-in. So you can do that back with them by saying, so you know that it's a really busy season, like it's really hard, and you know I told you that like income is a little tight, right? So you actually get them to agree why it's hard for you to spend a lot of money. Right? Or, you know, I told you that I don't really need a new car right now. It's kind of an extra, you know, I'm sure that you get that a lot. Yes. Right? So you already got them on the yes ladder. So what's your small yes? In your business or in your personal life, what's the small yes that you want to start on? Is it, if you're a blogger, a newsletter, a retweet, a follow, a like, a share, right? Is it advice? So sometimes you can use the Franklin effect to do permission marketing. So you can say, hey, can I ask your opinion on something? Sure. And then you can use the Franklin effect, and then you go into whatever the ask is. That works really well with VIPs. Ideas, brainstorm, coffees. Can you get them to say yes to one of those things, a small meeting, a coffee, a brainstorm, or signing up for the newsletter, or giving you a like or a share? On my website, I ask a lot. I ask a lot of my readers. I ask them to share my stuff. I ask them to buy my stuff, and I know that's a lot. So what I try to do is get them on the yes ladder. Hey, will you like and tweet my stuff? And I'll give you a ton of free content in return. Right? So it's the reciprocity effect and it's the yes ladder all at once. Yeah.
The one thing I'm missing on your slides is upselling. Amazon does this really well, where you've already said, yes, I want this. Now, yes, give me this as well, and that, and that.
Totally. That is the yes ladder. That's the perfect example of the yes ladder. Well, you already had this little thing in your cart. If anyone uses a couple of those printing services websites, they actually automatically put things in your cart and then ask you to take them out. Perfect example of the yes ladder. So more examples like that. What's your small yes, and what's more times you've felt like you've said yes to something small before a big ask? Yeah.
I have an example of something that somebody else has done.
Yes.
I've signed up for like a virtual conference. And then I've signed up for it, and then comes the video of, well, if you like this, then how about this other conference that we had? And then they add this sort of the scarcity, I think it is, or because it's like, well, normally if you just bought it now, it would be $99, but if you buy it with this, it will be $79. And so then, and I've actually done it where it's gone, I've bought the thing, they've said, well, how about this? I bought that, and they say, well, how about this? And I didn't go to the third one, but they just kept
doing it. They had you on
it.
the yes ladder.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And by the way, there's only 100 spots.
Right.
Just so you know, right? There's also scarcity. Yeah. Free webinars, virtual conferences, YouTube videos. Like, here, I would like you to watch my YouTube video. Yes, are you in for it? Yeah, I'd love to watch your YouTube video. Will you also like it after the video? Will you add me to your channel? Right? That's the yes ladder. Yeah.
So just almost everything that Apple does. I mean, I used to hate Apple, and then they made the best iPod. So you buy the iPod, and then you get the phone, and then you end up with everything.
Soon we're gonna be like Apple, like right? Like we have like a watch and a phone and an iPad. I mean, when I travel, it's like ridiculous. It's like my Mac, my iPad, my laptop. Anyway, soon with my watch. So yes, those are all yes. So I want you to think about what's your small yes. Right? When what your business, relationships, what's the small yes you can get first, so that it's not such a big ask. By the way, this is also less pressure when you go into meetings and pitches and negotiations. Yeah, there's a big yes. Will you hire me? Will you give me more money? Right? That's the big one. But start with the small yeses. I think that takes the pressure off. And it's also very polite to do permission marketing. Yeah.
The thing that just came to mind is it's so much more comfortable to start building a relationship in these small things where there's not a big commitment, kind of like dating. Like I like to start with coffee because if it's good, then you can go forward. But if it's bad, like it's only 20 minutes of your time and no one's investing a lot of money in that. And so it's just this aha moment of, oh, like it feels really good to have opportunities to say yes in small ways.
It's a courtship technique.
Yeah.
Absolutely a courtship technique. The peak technique is number 5. So this is also called the disruption technique. They're called both. What this is when you ask for something odd or you disrupt the average to get to yes. This entire course is using the peak technique. right? Asking different killer conversation starters, treating people differently. It's not what people expect, so they remember you and they break out of boring. This entire course is, but here's how to talk about it in persuasion and business. In one study, researcher who is dressed as a homeless man asks for 37 cents versus a quarter. What happens? Obviously, he makes way more money asking for 37 cents, right? Just that weird peak disrupt technique. Instead of, hey, can I just have a quarter? Can I have money? 37 cents is a weird amount. Study, they pitched a product costing $3 versus 300 pennies. The 300 penny one made way more sales. Just because it's different, just because we see that all the time. They use the peak and disrupt technique. So I try to use the peak and disrupt technique all over my website, all over my branding, because I know that people just want to have that dopamine triggered. And so the peak technique triggers that dopamine. So surprising people, we talked about the science of twerking in my campaign. The reason I did that is because it just disrupted people out of there every day. It got them thinking about something different. Offerings, you can peak and disrupt with your offerings, either with free gifts or as a part of your product, doing something that other people just don't typically include. For example, Uber did a campaign where if you got into their Uber during lunch, they offered Lay's potato chips and a sandwich for you as part of their campaign. It just, people were like, what? Like it's a gift, first of all, but they're also like, this totally disrupts what I thought I was gonna get and what normal car services do. Images can also peak and disrupt. This image peaks and disrupts, right? It's a little bit odd. That's why I have all these kind of weird pictures of me and other things in my presentations, just because it gets your brain thinking in weird. You're like, oh, what a cool image. Why is that tied to this fact? It just treats your brain. It opens up neural pathways that are different. So for example, I think that Geico's lizard, the little like lizard who's like walking around for Geico and he has like a British accent, it's the last thing you would expect for a car insurance company. You would never expect a car insurance company to have a little lizard with a British accent selling a car. Just isn't something that you would think of. They use the peak and disrupt technique to be able to get your attention with something that you wouldn't expect. Also, thoughtful gifts. So Simple is an online bank. They have like no fees, and one thing that they do is they buy you lunch. So for example, they just pick random people on Twitter who use their service, and they'll send them something and they'll say, hey, we want to buy you lunch today. Whatever you spent on your card today for lunch, we would like to buy it for you. That's a total peak and disrupt technique. So how can you peak and disrupt, especially in business? Or what are things that you've seen where you're like, wow, that took me by surprise? Any ideas? Yeah.
One time I was following a designer, I still follow her on Twitter, and she just said, I love desserts and I love it when people send me desserts. And she lives in New York and people sent her desserts from all across the country, including I sent her something from Portland, and then she put my name up. So it was an interesting interaction.
So that's actually reciprocity technique, reciprocity norm as well. You send me something, I send you something. I love it. What a cool idea. Other peak and disrupt techniques. Yeah.
Someone I follow on Instagram does a giveaway, like a random day, she'll just say, first person to post this gets my cookbook. And so to me, that like instead of you're just scrolling through, that's a disrupt thing, even if I've looked at it 8 hours later and there are other comments.
Absolutely. So what I want you to think about is not only do I want you to think about how you can use this in your own business, but I also want you to start collecting them. Right? So other people's ideas, it helps us get a little bit more creative. Create a little folder. I collect them. People send these to me all the time. Pictures of cool campaigns that people have done or presents they've gotten. So I want you to start collecting these peak and surprise ideas so that when you need that inspiration, you have a folder you can go to. Loss aversion, number 6. We strive harder to not lose something than to gain something. Okay? Here's the study to explain this idea. We derive more satisfaction from avoiding a loss than from achieving a gain. It has to be of semi-equivalent value. For example, you are more upset about losing $100 than you are happy about winning $100. The emotional response to losing is way more than to actually gaining. So how do we use this in business? Loss aversion ideas. Free trials. That is the technique that they're using. They give you a free trial of their service or their card or whatever. Yeah, use our card for free, no fees for a whole year. At the end of the year, when you have to pay a fee, you might not actually want the card, but the idea of losing something that you already have it feels terrible. And they know that. So they offer free trials. We were like, oh, a free trial. Shh. Yeah, I'll sign up for that. Yes, ladder. No problem. But then at the end of the month when the free trial is up, you do not want to lose it. Even if you didn't want it that bad, you still don't want to lose it. Merchandising as well. So you'll notice that when you go to clothing stores and you're carrying around your item before you try it on, you're actually kind of bonding with that item as you're carrying it around. Even before you tried it on. That's one of the reasons why they tell shop owners not to take the clothes from you. In shops where they say, hey, can I hang that up for you in the dressing room? I'm always like, you're missing out on the lost version. Sure, you can take it, but I'm actually not bonding with it. One of the reasons why trying on clothes, and you're like, it kind of looks good, I'm not sure, is because it's actually hard to give it up afterwards. So merchandising plays this trick on you as well. And samples, right? Try it, and then I want to get it back. So what's a product that gives a free sample that you try? A lot of online, Buffer is a great example of this. Buffer is an app where they help you post, automate your tweets and Facebook posts, and they offer like you can do it for free for a while, and then you have to pay for it, and you really don't want to lose it, so you end up paying for it. Same thing. Any ideas on loss aversion? I think the loss aversion is one of the hardest ones. Yeah.
There are a lot to piggyback on that. There are different companies like opt-in companies that will design your page for you, and you just input the text and you're good to go. And then you'll do a free trial, 30 days. Mm-hmm. If you want it, great. Most people forget they did it and they're just being billed anyway. Mm-hmm. And then other ones where they'll present the offer, they'll record something in a video. Hey, you want it? Click here. And then then it's a checkout page, and when you start to leave, a little pop-up pops up, and it'll say, oh, are you sure? Why don't you just try it for $1 for 14 days? And if you'd like to keep it, then we'll charge you the rest.
Loss aversion. Perfect example of loss aversion. Another one that you just reminded me of is the shopping cart. Mm-hmm. That is a characteristic loss aversion technique, because if you just add it to your shopping cart, it's like yours. It's like in your shopping cart. And they'll ask you, are you sure you want to remove this from your shopping cart? It's actually loss aversion. You're like, well, do I want to lose it? Like, I'm not sure. Do I want to give that up? It's the same thing as it's your shopping cart. That's a way to create ownership. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of home gym products, that's how they do it. Like, they'll just take it, use it, and then they talk about it.
Perfect example. Yeah. We'll send you the product, and you can use this home gym all you want, and we'll come pick it up for you for free, no problem. But the idea of losing it after you already have it is our brain does not like it. Yeah.
Zappos is my favorite. I'll order like 6 different types of shoes. and then I'm like,
addiction.
They don't fit perfectly, but God, they're so cute. Yeah. And then they'll just sit in my closet. Yeah. But like the fact that I can send it back, they've got my tracking information, everything. I don't have to do anything.
Free shipping and free returns, brilliant. Because you're telling people there's no risk here. You get to have it in your home, in your bedroom. You can see it in your closet. So the idea of returning it is incredibly difficult for us. We want to have it just in case. The last one that we're going to talk about today is the power of feelings. I think we brought this up a little bit earlier. So our brain loves sensory experiences. The reason why we love sensory experiences is because it uses the power of mirror neurons. So when someone else is feeling something really positive, we can't help but feel that back with them. You know, our brains want to, this is the basis of empathy, we want to feel as other people feel. That makes us feel connected to them. And this is the perfect example of this is the monkey and the ice cream. So during one study, which I think I told you about during the day 4 on captivating, the researcher left the lab, the brain was hooked up to all the MRI machines, and the researcher came back in with an ice cream cone, and they realized that the monkey's brain acted like it was eating the ice cream cone, right? So its brain thought it was eating the ice cream cone. It went through its own sensory experience. So how can you use feeling in your brand or in your relationships? Yeah.
Testimonials.
Totally.
Showing that it's working.
Totally. Testimonials is the best way to use feelings and stories, which is exactly, you're hitting it. So stories and dopamine is the sweet spot for feelings. So one thing that we do on our website is we have something called scholarship heroes. These are people who have received our courses for free. They've applied for a scholarship. And then if they want to, they can come in and they can film a testimonial with us where we explain their story. So it shows how they feel, and we tell their story at the same time, so it triggers people's dopamine as they watch. Testimonials, text and videos. I really want to encourage also if you have an online business, video testimonials are incredibly powerful. Way more than text. Not only are they more believable, when we see someone's face, we see their emotions, we feel with them. It just triggers way more. Sensory descriptions. So I went to a restaurant recently and she said, I was like, oh, she said, what can I get you to drink? And I was expecting her to say, oh, would you like the house red? I said, what kind of red wine do you have? And she said, oh, our house red wine is from wine from ocean wind kissed grapes. I was like, well, I'll take that, obviously. Like, I need to try a wine that's that. And so I actually wrote that down. I was like, I collect really interesting persuasion peak ideas. Instead of just saying the house red, she used a peak and disruption as well as a sensory experience. I wasn't in the Mediterranean. I didn't feel that warm breeze on my face. But I'm telling you, the way she described it, she was like, oh, our house red tonight is lovely. It's made from a winery on the Mediterranean, and the ocean wind comes and warms the grapes as they grow on the vine, and we take the wine. This bottle it's a vintage that's gorgeous. I was like, my brain was there. My brain was in that winery, like feeling the warm wind on my body and my face. And the wine was great. The wine was great, yeah.
One which I find particularly nasty is, imagine how great it would be if...
Yeah,
how would it
absolutely.
feel
You're
to
tapping
have the
into a
product?
sensory experience. Absolutely. Handcrafted, seaweed harvested face cream is another way that they do this. Handcrafted is like a big one that we're seeing everywhere. The reason they're doing that is because, first of all, it's peak and disrupt. It'll only be that way for a few more months until we see it everywhere. But we don't usually think of a handcrafted sandwich. Yes, it is handcrafted always, but now you're seeing that more and more, or handcrafted face cream, because it's a peak and disrupt, as well as we think of someone sitting back there in the kitchen, handcrafting it. Right, we think of that sensory experience. Yeah, Jason.
So one of the ideas is not only just how it's going to feel to do this thing or buy this thing, but how it's going to feel to not do it, or how you feel now is a great way to sort of describe it. So, you know, imagine yourself like with a gym. Like imagine yourself going to a crowded gym, you can't find parking, you know, people are eyeballing you and you don't know what to do. And now imagine this amazing other experience.
Perfect. You took me on a story. Right, you took me on my journey to the gym. It's crowded, I can't find parking, no one pays attention to me, it smells really bad. And then you went, but there's another option. And you took me on a totally another story. So you actually used both. And sensory experiences usually are both. The important thing with feeling ideas is to use power words. It embraces the peak and disrupt technique in your stories. You can give sensory experiences that are still boring. Right, what really makes sensory experiences powerful is using words that draw emotion. Right, so I want you to go look at whatever you're trying to sell or persuade someone on, and think about, are your words boring? Are the words the same as what everyone else uses? And then I want you to sit with a thesaurus and start subbing out words. I don't care if the words are even crazy, right? Just try it. See what happens if you put one crazy word in there. See if people actually pay attention, click on it, remember it more. Just that peak and disrupt technique and bringing out sensory feelings is important. We are going to learn the rest of our persuasion laws tomorrow in 27 Supercharge Your Sales. I grouped the last few laws specifically around selling and pitching. Okay, we're going to get into the scripting of what to say to someone when you want to sell, when you want to motivate them to do something. Winning every deal, getting buy-in, and selling like a superhero. And then we're going to talk about digital people skills. Everything we've talked about can be used in the digital world, but there's some really special, cool science projects that I want to share with you for online communication skills, phone communication skills, and how to be a social media powerhouse. The challenge for today, I want you to brainstorm and get crazy with this. Don't limit yourself. How can you use each persuasion law? Just one way. What would you do if you had to use each persuasion law in one area of your life? And second, how can you implement one persuasion law into your social media, website, or materials? I want you to actually do it. Change something and see if people notice. See how it feels. Take that experimental mindset. I want to know what the most important thing you learned today was. What was your aha moment? At home, I want you to share it with me on Twitter or write it down in your workbook. Remember that the more that you write and solidify that learning, the more you'll remember it. @Vivian Edwards and #PeopleSkills.
Definitely, if you haven't had a chance to get the workbook yet, definitely get that. It's a purchase upgrade, a purchase bonus, I should say, and there's some really wonderful things in here that Vanessa's not necessarily covering while we're live, so there's a lot more exercises here in the workbook.
Do you guys have ideas? Do you have ideas about how to use these or aha moments? Yeah.
So I always feel a little bit just icky using the scarcity principle. But you know, when we were talking about it, it just made me think, you know, if you're honest about it, and you honestly can only take on this many people, then you really do need to get that across to people.
Yeah. They don't know that you only have so many spots in your classes. You can only work with so many people. That is an authentic way to use the scarcity idea. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
I like the laws of persuasion. It held my interest a lot more than if you would have titled it something with marketing in it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been as
So I use the peak and disrupt technique because I use a more powerful word. Marketing, Right. Persuasion, much more powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a client who, to your point about scarcity, who said, "Oh, so you're pretty busy right now?" And I said, "Yeah, but." And he was like, "Oh, so you know, when's your availability?" Because I got scared that if I seemed unavailable, I would lose the client. So he ended up changing things around. We worked together later, but yeah, he hired me and moved his own dates for launching things to accommodate my schedule because he wanted to hire me. He just needed to know when.
So hopefully this can help you own that.
Yeah.
When you say that, you're saying, yeah, you know, right now it's really busy, but like I definitely have space here. I have space for one client. I would love that to be you.
And that demographic wants that. They want to be one of the two people, so it's perfect.
It's perfect. It's your ideal client's needs.
Yeah.
One more aha moment or interesting thing, yeah.
I love using the power of feelings, and then how you specifically talked about using the power words, because I think as I'm writing different copy and such, I can just get into sort of like humdrum, and I think I'm, you know, telling a story, but it's a humdrum story. So keeping the power words and to be able to peak and disrupt is going to be really important.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your new copy. Show me before and afters. I love before and afters. Cool, thank you guys for sharing. I can't wait to hear yours at home and show me examples of how you use some of these techniques in action. I like the befores and afters.
Definitely, we definitely want to hear from you on Twitter as well. Use the hashtag PeopleSkills, and you've got a special prize for Twitter.
Yes, people who do it for all 30 days, the best answers are going to win my dating course and my entrepreneur course.
And we've seen some great answers so far. That's it for now. We hope you'll join us back in the next segment. We'll see you then.